This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another stunning African sunrise safari. We are coming to you watching some beautiful impala today. Seems like the most fitting way to start the morning, as they are some of our most favorite species of antelope in the area. My name is Ali, and on camera with me today is Darren. We are very excited to be here, having almost a bit of an easy start to the morning. We've been enjoying the company of these impala that are slowly moving off quarantine, potentially gonna then carry on moving down to Gowrie Dam with their feeding bout. So we've got a nice mixed group of females and males, and then there's a piece of bone in between. I think you guys can see that white patch in the middle of the screen. Some of them have been chewing on it. It's not uncommon to see antelope species and even giraffe chewing on bones. This is just to extract the calcium that is found on the bones. Well, the calcium and some of the other nutrients as well. They won't necessarily chew it, but they rather suck on it, and then this is the way that they absorb the nutrients. Seems like, they're not interested in it anymore, but a lot of them were doing it just now. We love hearing from everyone that's watching this show, so if you have any questions at all during the drive, we'd love to hear from you and get your insight. Just use the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter or at FC on the YouTube chat, or otherwise you can subscribe to the website and post your questions there. And if you are under 18 on the YouTube chat, please send your questions to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. It's quite a few ways for you guys to ask us questions, so please don't feel like you can't. It's actually more enriching to have drives when everybody asks questions, because then we all learn from one another. Even for me, I would imagine, I've been a little bit on the rusty side. It's been, as everybody knows, a couple tough years in the guiding, tourism, presenting industry. So whenever we get rusty, it's good to have a good reminder or start doing some more research. And I think, to be honest, I've just been thoroughly enjoying spending time with impala. They're always a good pointer if something's around, and then because they're prey species to many animals, they can sometimes, if you spend time with them, lead you to find a predator like a lion or a leopard, just either by their alarm calls or because something will come to them and then start stalking them, which is, unfortunate for them, but most of the times they also seem to get away from the predators. Quite an impressive male walking around. So you can sort of age the impala judging by their horns. A lot of the times, if they have tiny little spikes going up, then you know that they're less than a year old or about a year old. When their horns are starting to point towards one another, then you can assume they're roundabout to you. And then once they start converging away from one another, then they're probably just over 4. And then, well, obviously, the older they get, the bigger their horns. I'm pretty sure these guys are going to be hiding now in this thicket. So let's have a look at what the weather is going to be doing today and how it might affect our animals' movements.
Welcome to WildEarth. We're live at Eco Training Pridelands, and we are about to start our walk from Kilikopi. But first, we're waiting for that magic moment, the sunrise. Another sunrise and another opportunity to go and experience some magic inside the bush. Every day has got its own surprises, and that's what I love about doing my work. My name is JP LaRue, and behind the camera, we've got Craig. So our plan for this morning, once we've watched our sun rise, we're going to start moving off, do a circular route, go and visit one of the dams, and then come back onto the ridge and see what else we can go and find. Good morning, Jackie, and welcome to the show. Yes, we're very fortunate to enjoy another beautiful sunrise. We're going to sit here a little bit longer and enjoy our sunrise and then go off and go and see what we can go and find. And meanwhile, let's go and see what the others are up to.
Well, JB, seems like we had the same idea. As we were sitting with the impala, we just noticed a tiny little bit of more sunshine in a spot in the horizon. So we decided to wait and see what the sunrise would look like today. I can't say I'm disappointed, so perhaps we should ask all of you guys, which sun rose better, Pridelands or Djuma's? It would be quite amazing if we had like a beautiful big tree in front of the sunrise or the sun rising, and that would be the most iconic sunrise in Africa. But we're a little bit far from the horizon line where the sun is rising from. But it's still quite beautiful. There's a lot of haze up in the air. I'm pretty sure that you can notice it just at the bottom there. There was a fire yesterday, not around this area at all, but more close towards Newington Gate in the Sabi Sand, or just around that area. Is a fire that started in the community, and I think we saw a bit of the glow yesterday or last night coming back from the Tyndee sighting as we were driving straight sort of north and east. I'm pretty sure it's under control, so nothing to worry about. And it is at this time of the year when everything is extremely dry that we tend to get some fires. But fire breaks are in place, so it's a good thing to have them and sort them out just to prevent any damages to game reserves and, of course, animals. And so that we can enjoy beautiful sunrises like today. So at least in our case, it worked out to have more colors. Oh, that's pretty. I think it's always been one of my favorite things is just watching the sunrise. I think almost more than the sunsets, funny enough. There's just something quite calming about watching the sunrise. Just those few moments before your day starts. Well, it's getting a bit blinding to now stare at the sunrise. It's just gotten just above the horizon line. So I think we're going to leave this big ball of fire and then start making our way and that general direction. Let's see what's out there for us today. See what we can find. It was quite interesting. I was listening to the radio last night on the way back from the Tandi sighting, because obviously we like knowing where all of our friends are. And I don't know how true this is, or where exactly, but apparently there were 2 sightings yesterday on Buffelshoek lions. One sighting was 3 females with a bunch of 7 to 8 month old youngsters, which was quite interesting because we haven't seen any of those around here. And I'm not too sure what pride it could be. Maybe the Mbali pride. I know they've been hanging around Manialeti, and maybe they've sort of started coming here. And then the male that was reported to be with the Talamatis apparently was not dark mane last night. I think they saw them walking, and this is where the assessment came from. And they suspect it might have been the S8 male, which has also, I think, been pushing down from Kruger Manialeti side. So interesting, because they were, still at a distance from here and not really anywhere close to dark mane score Djuma territory. Slowly but surely, it seems like the lions are starting to creep in and push a little bit further. It's not uncommon, especially during the dry season times. So let's see. Maybe if we get a chance, we'll go follow up there a little bit later. It's just that it's a bit of a bad signal area, and then I don't want to go all the way up there to go tracking, and then we have no signal. That would be a very sad affair. Alrighty. Still no tracks for any leopards around here. Wonder where Shasha has gone off to. I think perhaps Kilalamba is still up there by Galago somewhere, or by Buffelshoek cut line. I'm not too sure where Sheila has had her kill. I think Cedric mentioned also that, you were with Cedric, that they saw a male in the distance that spotted Lalamba, and they spotted each other, but no ID on it. So the male was acting a little bit on the shy side, so it could have been Molowati, perhaps Stingy. Now that he's turned into more of a nomadic male, he's got to be a bit more careful, and we all know that he likes stealing kills, so maybe he's just taking it a little bit easier. But yeah. In Tlangula, but in Tlangula's not shy at all. So I don't know. I suppose it could have been in Tlangula. He's a pretty male too, but I don't know. He wouldn't. I've seen him a couple of times, and he's the kind of male that we've sort of come around a corner like this with the car, and then he's sleeping in the middle of the road, not even bothering to wake up. But it could also be. Those are sort of 3 of the males that could be around that spot. Seems like Cedric would also like to welcome you guys onto today's drive, so let's head over to him and say good morning.
Good morning, and welcome with us. I was driving. My plan was to do a rolling introduction, but I saw something behind us there. My name is Cedric, and I have Morgan on camera with me this morning. Our plan for us this morning is to bumble around, see what we can find, and also maybe go check if Maribs and Tandy is in the same area. Otherwise, we'll see what we can find. But as soon as I turn on that road, which is Cheetah Cut Line, I just saw on a termite mound behind us a very nice giraffe. So I'm going to reverse, and we're going to go check that giraffe there. It's not every day that you see a giraffe on a termite mound. Oh, it's moving away now, but I'm sure we'll have a good look at it. Yeah, our plan, would love to see a leopard obviously this morning, but we'll look also for some birds. I know in the morning it's very nice to do some birding because the bird of prey like to sit on the trees, on top of the trees, waiting that the weather warm up. The sun is rising nicely now. And as you can see, we have a very nice giraffe there, who's walking away from us. Nathan, you're asking if we ever see big herd of giraffe. Yeah, you can see what we call a journey of giraffe, which is a few giraffes together. I think the most I've seen would be about 10 or 15, but it can happen that there's more of them together. So what I can see now, there's one walking away from us with the sun at the back. It is quite beautiful actually. And there's one walking toward us. So I can see two at the moment. This one is behind the bush there. They're currently feeding. And as you know, giraffe eat leaves, so they are browsers. It is a beautiful morning here at Djuma. It looks like it's going to be a hot day. So it's quite nice that we're out early and driving around. Maybe let's try to reposition and get a better look of that giraffe. Looks like there's some hippo tracks also on this road. Hippos can travel quite a long distance at night to go feed. They eat grass, so I can see some hippo tracks as well. So giraffe have very long tongue. Obviously it will... They have very long tongue, obviously, to get to the leaf. You know, the leaf is between the branches, so it's very useful for them to have a very long tongue. And you're saying, wow, what a beautiful giraffe. Yes, very, very nice to start with us with giraffes. So this would be a female. I think the other one we saw as well was a female. So if you look at their faces as well, it's very narrow. You know, their muzzle is very narrow. Obviously, this is designed for them to be able to get between the branches and make it easy to get to the leaves. What I like to do sometime when you spend time with giraffe is also look at their behavior. Because they are very tall, they can see quite far. So every time you look at a giraffe which is looking in one direction intensely, it might be a predator there. But obviously these one are very relaxed. I don't think they saw anything yet. Okay, I think we're going to stay a bit longer with this giraffe and then move on.
I have a degree in environmental planning and development. My passion is outdoor classrooms. We are not only grooming the environmentalists of tomorrow, but tomorrow's leaders as well. My long-term goal is for the people of South Africa to learn how to live sustainably, to be able to look after themselves and the environment. So I hope that through environmental education, we are able to get that message to the future generation of South Africa so that they start now and can continue that good practice in the future. Environmental education is critical so that people can live sustainably in the future. That is my long-term goal.
being nominated to the top 5 and finally being here, for me, it's an achievement. Tracks, I believe I did quite well, and the walk.
And sometimes you often drag their feet forward.
The storytelling as well. So yeah, I think that's where I see my strongest point.
And then, that was the opportunity of the scraping.
I say the bedding and the call, definitely, for me, it was quite a big challenge. Guiding is not all about the award that we have had, but in sharing the experience and continue to do what we have passion and love.
Something very, very interesting. I didn't plan this, but this is a scene rarely seen. This is what we call a journey of giraffe. So beautiful.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. We're still sitting on top of our little rocky outcrop and enjoying the sunrise, but also the views on the Drakensberg Mountains. That incredibly high peak you see in the distance is known as Mariepskop, and it's just over 1,900 meters in altitude. I find it an absolutely fascinating environment from where we are now, where we are. If we go to the top right over there, it's literally fynbos, which is a vegetation structure which is associated with the Western Cape region of South Africa. But for me, it's also one of the most beautiful places to be in a morning like this, to experience a sunrise over the Lowveld. If you can get up there very early in the morning, it creates some of the finest of views. It also forms part of the panorama route. The Blader River Canyon is to the back of that. And you can go on a boat trip inside there and go and experience the third largest canyon in the world and the largest canyon in the world. We're just going to pan around with the camera a little bit on the mountain, and then from there we're going to start doing our walk. Good morning, Gareth. It's just normally us. Sometimes we will have somebody that comes in for fun to just join us while we're out and about over here. What we also sometimes do is I will allow one of the young apprentice guides to come along, and then we do mentoring with them so that they can also learn how to walk in a veld. Good morning, Ursula, and welcome to the show. Yes, we do. We have a number of lions that come in and out of the area, and we also have a single lioness which roams around here. She was part of a bigger group when she lost her mother, and then she got started growing up on her own and managed to survive into adulthood. I hope that she's going to actually breed one of these days. Around about a month ago, I was actually noticing that there was a male that was following her, and his tracks was all over her tracks. So it's possible that he was wanting to check if she's in a reproductive condition. It will be great. And if I did mate, normally 110 days later, we've got some cubs. Well, we're going to sit here for 2 or 3 more minutes, and then we can go and see what we can go and discover. Let's go and see what Ali is up to.
actually quite a nice morning to go out on a walk. It's not too hot. There's just something magical about today. The sun is very pretty. We had some golden light, and now we're just bumbling about hoping to find tracks. I've been teased by all of the males of Djuma because we've had male lion and male leopard tracks on one of the roads that we've driven on, but sadly they're all old tracks, so nothing worth sort of carrying on looking for around there. And now I have returned to the central western parts of Djuma, see if we can find anything around here. Maybe we'll have some cats around here. You never know. Or if not, maybe a herd of buffalo. That would be nice. I haven't seen any of the big herds that have come around Djuma. And it's always nice to spend time with like a big herd of creatures. Doesn't matter if it's impala or buffalo or elephants. I was recently on a safari at Thornybush Game Reserve, and they've got a leucistic buffalo calf there, and it's quite funny to see amongst this sort of the sea of darkness that is the buffalo herd, just this little white calf going around there. I don't think it's albino, because normally albino animals, they have red eyes and very pink noses, and he had, or well, I'm not sure if he was a he or a she. It had dark eyes and a dark nose. So the difference between leucism and albinism is that with leucism there is a lack, or there's not as much melanin or the pigment that produces the dark colors, whereas in albinism is completely non-existent in the animal. And then that's when they turn really white. What are these? No. So it was pretty nice to see that little calf. Hopefully it'll survive. I'm not too sure it's the safest place for it amongst a herd of animals that look all the same. Whoop. Let's see. The old Hyena Den, old Hyena Den when I first started in Djuma was down there. Haley, my favorites are the morning safaris. I know sometimes getting up in the morning is hard and it hurts, but I always find that there's just something magical about the morning safaris. You don't know what you're gonna get. You don't know what's been moving around during the night. The light is very pretty, so I actually enjoy them more than the afternoon drives, because in the afternoon drives, unless you've just started somewhere, you kind of know already what's around, and chances are that things would have stuck in the same area or wouldn't have moved far. So I suppose I like the mystery of the bush in the morning, heading into the unknown and looking for your own things and seeing what can be found. Oh, look how pretty the tree looks with the light. So this is quite an iconic tree for those of you that might have been watching for a while. I think this is the tree or the torchwood where Brent fell off. Always have to immortalize those moments because they're very funny. And it's just looking stunning with the morning light. And you see the torchwood is an easy tree to distinguish when it's quite old, because it almost has this bark that looks like it's wrapping itself around itself. We've got quite a few of the torchwoods on Djuma, and then, well, of course, there's a property where we were yesterday with Tandi that's called Torchwood, and they've also got quite a few. And it's one of our bigger trees that we get around this area. And we've seen, funny enough, a lot of elephants this year that they've come, and the torchwood's fruit was still on the tree. I want to say, when did we last see it? Maybe July, and then they just come, and very similar to what the elephants do in other parts of Africa, like for example in Wangi or Maniples, that they come and they shake the tree, well, even for marulas in this area, and they shake the tree and so that the fruit drops from the tree. And once the fruit drops from the tree, all they have to do is just go around the tree and pick it up. They'll just sniff it out with their trunks and then just put it in their mouth. And normally they almost like toss it into their mouth like they're eating candy. It's quite funny.
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world, live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more.
Yeah, so we're still checking Chitakat line on our side. Apart from those giraffe that we left, didn't see much. What's all the way to the north of Chitakat line, and it was very quiet. I think what we're going to do now is going check at the junction of Gary Main if there's any trucks or anything there. I'm sure you guys enjoyed that clip of the Mara. That would be a very nice expedition. Yeah, I didn't hear also any report on the radio yet, but it is quite early still, so should be fine. A bit later, we on our side going to check the area where Ellie was yesterday. And yeah, so that area is in Torchwood, so we're going to go there a bit later and see if we can pick up on some tracks of Maribs or see if they're still there actually. That would be very nice. I think Maribs I saw him only once, and Tandy I never saw her, so that would be very, very nice. And then you're asking if leopard territory very large. Yes, can go up to 100 square meters, so it is big. If I got that question right there. Yeah, so it's normally between 5 square kilometers to 100 square kilometers, but the average would be around 15 square kilometers, so it is quite big. The male generally have bigger territory compared to females, so they cover a bit more distance, but some females can have also a very large territory. The male will choose their territory for the availability of female for mating and also the availability of food, but for the female they will choose their territory for the availability of den site and food. Oh, so we did drive north and now we just popped up in our giraffe again. But what is nice, it's like a beautiful setting with the sun. So this is all the same giraffe we saw earlier. It is very graceful when they walk. Like it's going to feed on that tree, that small tree there. Were you asking if giraffes are territorial at all? It can be a bit of territory between males, but generally they can move quite long distance. So they will maybe have a home range, but between the males, sometimes there can be a bit of competition. I don't think they're really territorial. Obviously big animals like giraffe and elephant, they move about quite a lot because they need to make sure they have food all the time. So if one area get a bit dry, they can move quite a long distance to find more food. How nice is that? It is quite impressive to see males fight to breed, actually. So how do they fight? They swing their neck and eat each other with their head. So this one would be a female. It is a very, very nice female. It is very beautiful here in the morning. We're on Chitakatlan, we're a little bit elevated, so the sun is coming nicely now on the animals where we are. So it gives beautiful colors. Okay, I think I'm going to stay here and see what this giraffe does next. So we are still with this giraffe feeding. I'm just going to stay quiet a little bit and let you enjoy. So you can see the change in behavior there. Might have heard something, and now she's just checking if she can't see anything. So she's still looking a bit around. Not sure why. I'm looking around as well, but I can't see anything. Obviously they will see much better than me. So I'm just going to check around here if there's anything coming onto the road. Might be a predator around.
Welcome Welcome back on Bushwalk. We're out and about looking at tracks, signs and trees this morning. And we are now at the moment looking at one of the most beautiful flowers in this area. And this belongs to the low-felled chestnut, or star chestnut as it's also known. My apologies, star chestnut. And makes these beautiful yellow and pink coloured flowers. It's a tree that I always think of when I saw a leopard a few years ago. And I was walking in an area where there was a rocky outcrop. I gave the instructions to everybody in the group to be super alert because this is where you can potentially expect to find leopard. And then the next moment I discovered the biggest star chestnut that I've ever seen in my life. With the first time that I've ever saw the flowers, I was so amazed. And as I looked down at the bottom of a tree, there was a leopard sitting there. The immediate command was, stand still, stay where you are, don't run. And we also said to everybody, don't make eye contact and move out sideways, which is a typical way that you will deal with a leopard if you do encounter it on foot. Unlike lion, that you will actually just move backwards. Luckily, the leopard moved away from us. We come back to the tree. I find it particularly interesting. There's a number of interesting uses for it. And one of them is for the making of a rope. When you use the bark, we can also use the soft wood for making base plates if you would like to make fire by means of friction. You can also eat the seeds. Quite often these trees are quite heavily targeted by elephants. However, this one is safely nestled in between a number of large boulders and therefore is fairly protected against elephants. Good morning, Benji, and welcome to the show. There's a number of ways that we can look at how to find edible plants. So generally, one of the things that I will do is I do know my plants fairly well in this area, but when we want to test something for edibility, we can actually smell it. If it smells like almond, that's one of the smells that we immediately start becoming cautious of. If it also looks like tomatoes, I tend to avoid them. Some of the other things that we also do is if we look find smells like jasmine, we also try and avoid eating those things because they generally indicate toxins. So if we eventually find a fruit that we think is edible, you can take the fruit and you can actually cut it open and you can put a small little part of it on the inside of your hand and see if there's any form of allergic reaction taking place. If there's an allergic reaction that takes place, just rather avoid eating it. You can then also put it to the tip of your tongue. If there's any bitter taste that you experience or burning taste, it's best not to eat it. And then lastly, if you don't experience any of those taste or symptoms, you can only eat a small little bit of that fruit because it can often also upset your stomach. Quite often with wild fruits and things, what's out here, our stomach is not used to it, and it can actually set up serious diarrhea, which can lead to even further fluid losses in your body, which can be particularly dangerous if you are in a survival situation. Well, we're going to move on, and in the meanwhile, let's go and see what Ali is up to.
Well, it seems like our feeling of coming to the western side of Djuma was an appropriate one, let's put it that way. We have been following some male leopard tracks on a road that's called Mendoza, which is a new, well, it's not new anymore, but it was a newly sort of made road. But I think I have lost the tracks now on a patch of hard ground that we had there, and we're not too far from Triple M. It's just in that direction, and then the boundary, I don't know if you can see, there's a pole, if you see where my hand is, yeah, just over there we go. There's a pole there that's kind of the intersection between Gowrie Main and then Triple M, so we're not too far from the boundary. And then this cat, whoever he is, could have gone anywhere. I suspect due to the location that perhaps we're looking at the tracks of tortoise span. I'm not sure when the last time Tingana was seen was, but I think it was probably down in Malamala somewhere, or maybe around, maybe he's come back up in Koro. So I just want to go around sort of the boundary, see if we've got any tracks, or speak to the guys on the way, see if they've got any tracks heading their way. And then if not, then I'm gonna come back onto this area and then just double track myself, because I heard something when I was on foot now, but there were some kudu around, so I suspected perhaps the kudu, but not 100% sure. Is that a leopard track? I'm not sure. Let's just have a look here. Because in general, especially if it's a male and they're on a territorial patrol, they tend to walk on the road. It's easier, they scent mark as they start going. And then for us, it's a little bit easier to follow them, because then we get to see their tracks on the road, but that looks like a leopard toe. There are also a lot of game paths or just animal highways that got straight across and then onto Arathusa and Simambili on that area. And as we know, they're creatures of habits and they like walking on the same paths and so on. So it pays off to be in an area for a while, because then you start learning who likes walking where. And Trisk that way is quite impressive, because obviously he really enjoys leopards, as we all know. And he'll be like, on this spot next to this thing on this road, there's a guari bush, there's a game path, and then this leopard likes walking on that game path. So it's quite impressive. This almost looked like a leopard track, and I got excited that we had them back here. Lots of hyena tracks all around here. It's quite interesting because we don't get to see them a lot during the day, or well, we know where 3 of them were yesterday, but then in the morning when you start driving, you just see these roads covered in hyena tracks, which is actually really cool. Let's see. I don't think this leopard's walked around here. I have a suspicion that it's walked the other way. Erica, I've never seen a melanistic leopard. I would love to see one. I think there are a few that are popping up all around the world. There's one that it seems to be, I'm going to say semi-relaxed, but still very hard to find in the Loisaba Conservancy in Kenya. And I know Tristan and I are planning a trip to go hopefully find it next year. I mean, there are no promises, of course, because not only it's a leopard, but it's not a relaxed leopard. So there's one in Kenya, and there are a few that have popped up in sort of different parks in India. People also know them as panthers. And around the Lydenburg area in South Africa, not too far from where we are, there have been reports for also melanistic leopards, but we have never come across them. We haven't seen them around this particular part of the sands. I'm sure they are around, it's just the ones that have been found are normally around farmlands, so they wouldn't really be relaxed animals that we would be able to see out here in the bush. So maybe one day it would be beautiful to see, a panther. That's what I'm going to call them now. And if you're wondering what a melanistic leopard is, it's just basically a leopard with an excess of dark coloration in its skin, so it appears to be entirely black. But then if you look properly at its skin, or if the light hits it right, then you'll be able to see the darker rosettes as well. So because it's a genetic rarity, you need to have both parents that carry this gene. Then it's not quite a common animal to see, or it's not an animal that you come across all that often. I don't know if there's just the last reports I've ever heard for one around here was the one in the Lydenburg, and then I think I don't remember if it was in KZN in South Africa or towards the Waterberg, maybe there was also what they call a pink leopard, which is a leopard that is leucistic and it's got less dark coloration in its body, and then it looks like the rosettes are almost pink. Sorry, I'm just checking for more tracks here, but these are all hyena tracks on the main road. So we're just coming up to the Triple M Gowrie Junction, which are the two main roads of access for the lodges in the area. There's a lot of traffic in terms of wildlife that goes around here, that comes and goes. So I'm gonna go up Gowrie Main, see if the tracks that we had come out this way, and if not, off we go into the block to look a little bit more. See if there is a leopard there. It doesn't seem like the tracks are particularly recent. Probably would say that they are from sort of early last night, so not from this morning. They don't have that crispness to them that a brand new track has, that, you know, they look very sharp and shiny. But it's also been quite windy, as we've mentioned the last couple of days. So that also helps, well, that ages the tracks quite a bit. But let's have a look, you never know. Maybe good old Tavangumi has decided to come around here. I don't think it would be Shasha because it's far from where we've seen his tracks, and the tracks look quite big for like an adult male. Although I was quite impressed the other day. I think I looked at Marip's tracks and he's got quite a big paw for such a young male. And I believe Tsemba's also got, Tsemba is Kuchava's son, and I think he's also got quite a big paw mark.
Hi, we are Yaku and Milani. We are from Gauteng in South Africa. We started watching WildEarth last year during the level 5 lockdown, and we've been watching ever since.
Being in nature is one of the greatest feelings. We absolutely love it. Our favorite thing about WildEarth is that the concept is so amazing. We have the benefit of having a wildlife safari in the comfort of your home, especially when you're not allowed to go out. Being part of the Wildlife Explorer program gives us a sense of giving back and contributing to nature. It just makes us feel good because we love it so much. We are so excited to be visiting Angoma. It is obviously, I think for most people, an absolute dream to visit the Masai Mara. We can't wait to go.
Thank you very much for this amazing prize, WildEarth.
WildEarth Explorers. It's in your nature.
We got there, he had probably moved a couple of hundred meters down the river, and it was about 10 meters from this causeway. So I radioed the lodge quickly and just asked them to bring a land cruiser around and some tow straps. So we thought we were going to try be heroes and save this giraffe. And now a big bull, probably over a ton. He's a big unit. Got the tow strap one side of the giraffe and managed to get it around him with the boat, and the other edge of the tow strap obviously back onto the bank. So we made this U around him because he was lying quite close to the bank. And yeah, we put that land cruiser in low range and we just gave it hell and pulled that giraffe, and the tow strap slipped up, and we thought, oh no, it's going to slip off the top of the head, and it caught on his ossicones top, and that last 10 meters pulled him out onto the bank, and he battled. He was obviously quite weak and all that.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth.
Well, unfortunately, it seems like our leopard tracks were indeed from last night, as the reports from the west are that there are tracks for a male leopard going onto Zebra Drive into Arethusa, which is not far from the area that we were in. So I suspect it's the same individual that's gone from Djuma to Arethusa. We are looking at a beautiful pair of yellow-billed hornbills now, though. They were doing their display where they left their wings and then they start calling, so hopefully they'll do it again, because it's quite an iconic call, and a lot of the times if you're not really sure of what you're listening to, you might even confuse them with zebras in the distance because they make a similar call. Guys, would you please do it again for us? It would be really nice. Yeah. You can see these hornbills hang around main roads and cars because we are parked fairly close to them, and then they just haven't flown away. So I don't think we are the first set of, wheels that they've come across. Are you gonna do it? It's quite funny. Because of their long beaks, they have to tilt their heads sideways to be able to see down. Benson, yeah, they do look like they're frowning. They kind of look like, I think of when I see them, of sort of, old men that used to work like as, in admin positions back in the day that were not too happy with things. That's kind of what they remind me of. But their feathers are very beautiful. Oh, we've got some grooming going on, just maintaining the feather condition or getting rid of perhaps little lice in there. Little, what's the word that I'm looking for? Fleas. That's the word that I'm looking for. You can almost hear him make that call. And then tuk tuk. Oh, it's gonna fly away. I think it's looking for its partner. Oh no, you're gonna stay here. The partner's just flown onto the other tree. That was sorry, Gwen, can you please repeat the question? That was good that they did their display. It's actually quite beautiful. They often tend to do it sitting almost side by side, and they did what this one did, where they just open their wings. Maybe I'll do it again. Alrighty. Please open your wings. Just want to keep quiet for a bit, just to allow him the opportunity to do this. Now there's a crested barbet that's joined the chorus. I'm actually quite impressed that they've been able to do all of this for us around here. This is one of the best things about the mornings, is just actually finding the hornbills doing this. It's quite lovely when they do it. And Starlight, I think you were asking why the beak doesn't close all the way. It's just to accommodate their feeding habits. This recurved bill, and then having a bit of a crack in. It's not a crack really, it's just a space in the middle that allows them to apply more pressure and then crack open certain things that they might try to eat. You see, it's actually just a very small gap, and they've got a lot of nervous terminals and a lot of capillaries in their beaks that allow them to cool down in really hot days. So the hornbills also, when it's really hot, you'll see them on a branch on the tree with their mouths open, just trying to let some of the heat out, and then just trying to take advantage of sometimes a cool breeze to cool themselves down. No, not really at this time of the day. It's still quite nice and cool. But as we start going into summer, then they'll definitely need to be doing that. And soon enough, though, I think we're going to start seeing more and more mating displays from the males to the females to try and attract them. Because as the first rains start, then the hornbills are also going to go into their mating season. And they've got quite a fascinating way of doing it, where the female pretty much, once she decides to mate with a particular, with her partner, She will rely on this partner entirely until the chicks pretty much are able to sustain themselves a little bit more. And by this I mean I can't even find my words today. So hornbills will nest in a cavity or in a hole in a tree, and then the female will go inside of the tree, and then the male will seal her inside with mud, and will just leave a little bit of a gap from where he's gonna go and feed her while she's in there, because when she lays her eggs and she's gonna molt, she's gonna change her plumage, and then if something happens to that male while she's molting, then she won't have a way of actually getting out and feeding herself, which could lead to her demise. But then the males throughout the season will carry on feeding her, and then once the female has changed her plumage, then she'll break free of the opening, then she'll leave, and then both the male and the female will start helping feed the chicks until they're old enough to fledge and leave the nest and become themselves their own hornbills. I think your partner's gone down to the ground, friend. You'll often see hornbills on the ground looking for things to eat, and then they were standing not too far from a termite mound. So they'll eat a lot of termites, they'll eat a lot of the worker termites, scorpions, fruits, berries, all sorts of little things. This has been quite a nice view. I don't know if you can see the barbet on the lower branch. Got a crested barbet.
On the same tree?
Yeah, on the same tree, just lower it's just flown to the termite mound. Seems like he's been trying to befriend the hornbills, but the hornbills don't really want to be their friend. So this little rockster over here is called the crested barbet, and is the one that was making a noise earlier. It seems like it's found a nice spot where perhaps a lot of termites, a lot of workers might be in there just building the walls of the termite mound, and sadly for them, some of them might end up being barbet food.
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world, live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. I'm going to speak very softly. We have a giraffe that we were watching at some 100 meters away, and suddenly it became curious. We heard it snorting, which we don't often hear because most people believe that giraffes are mute, but they're actually not. They can vocalize. And it came all the way from 100 meters away, and it's probably standing some 20 meters away and actually staring at us. This is known as a predator inspection. Hey, what are you doing? We are here. I've never been so close to a giraffe that actually has come towards us. I just made him hear that we are here, so that he's aware of us and that he doesn't walk straight into us. It's a cow that we have over here. If you look under the underbelly, there's no penile sheath. And if we look at the neck, it's quite thick for a female as well. But if you look on top of the little head, you'll notice that there's little black paintbrush-like tufts, unlike that of the males that has got bold spots on top of the head. So we were just discussing a few minutes earlier where the name giraffe comes from. It means for one that walks elegant, and it comes from ancient Arabic. And we were also just talking about how the ancient Arab traders used to catch these in the northern parts of Africa and then sell them off to the Romans, who would then put them into arenas where they would loosen lions onto them in the arena to fight with them. I also find it particularly interesting that the Romans used to believe that this is a magical type of animal that is a cross between a camel as well as a leopard, hence the scientific name Giraffa camelopardalis, which was up to recently used to describe a single species. However, since then, It's been splitted off into 4 separate species. And those of you that might be joining on our Mara expedition, you will have opportunity to see one of the different types of giraffe in East Africa, which is known as a Maasai giraffe, which is for me probably one of the most beautiful patterned giraffes. Each of these different giraffe species has got their own unique patterns, and within those 4 species there's also a number of subspecies, which is individuals which has become geographically isolated over a period of time that started developing their own unique coat patterns. Within the Southern African region, we actually have 2 different subspecies, Angola giraffe as well as southern giraffe, with this being southern giraffe, which we are looking at the moment. I just want to see what she's going to get up to. I'm just absolutely amazed still about how she just walked up to us. Well, we're watching our giraffe for a little bit longer and see what she's getting up to. Let's go and see what Cedric has found.
Yeah, welcome back with us. We are currently on Tswalu, just at Gary Main actually, but inside Tswalu we found a beautiful herd of waterbuck. There's a few of them. It is not the best visual, they're a bit far into the block, but it is quite nice to see a lot of waterbuck male together. Also only males at the moment, and waterbuck are very dependent on water, so you will always find them very close to water, but the furthest would be around 5 kilometers away from water, so we're quite close to Tswalu Dam. This is why there's lots of them here. Sorry, I got a question from Leland, but I didn't get really the question. I'm sure FC is going to say it again. If I got it right, is Leland, you're asking 8-9, very nice sending question. If the leaves on the tree, oh, dead leaf on the tree, sorry, thank you, Morgan, have any nutritional value? Yes, they will have some nutritional value. You will see them feed on the dead leaves as well, but obviously maybe it will be a bit less nutritional when they are dead, but the animals still feed on them, but obviously they would prefer the one which is green. This is why sometimes also you see animals that normally eat leaves start feeding on any other type of vegetation, especially in time of drought. For example, if I take an example, it would be for the buffaloes. So they eat grass, but it has been recorded in the past that they might eat some leaves when there's no more grass left. Yeah, this waterbuck visual is not the best, unfortunately, but you can see on their back there's a little white ring. That would be a follow me sign. So when they have to run away from any predators or run in the bush, they will obviously be able to see each other by looking at this bright white ring. Okay, so we're moving on. I think we're going to move on as well. So what we're going to do now is head towards Tswalu Dam. See if there's anything there. Yeah, so why we came here also is that we want to check on Tandy and Maribs, and they were not there anymore. So we're going to check the dam here. Dylan, you're asking, the park is looking very dry. When is the rain expecting? Yeah. So basically now we're coming out. We are at the end of the dry season, which is winter. And so the rain normally come around November, December. Then you can get quite a lot of rain, then it get green again. But for example, last year the rain came a little bit early, which was in October. So yeah, I would say it can come from October, but generally it's more around November when we get our first rain. But last year the rain came early and it was a lot of rain. It was a very good rainy season last year when it started. So there's still quite a lot of grass around, so which is now for the grazers. Okay, so I think we're going to see what's at the dam. Hopefully we'll find some more animals.
Well, not too much around here, I don't think. We haven't come across any more tracks. But we might just try to head onto Sumambili. Hopefully the gods of the signal will be with us. Hyena Den that's been found in the open area, which would be quite exciting to go and see. So fingers crossed we will have signal once we get there. We should, though it's a nice big open area and it sits on top of a crest. So fingers crossed we'll be able to get there, and then we'll be able to maybe see some new little cubs. Otherwise, well, you know, if we don't try, we'll never know. The guys say that apparently they've got 2 brand new cubs, so it should still be quite fairly small and dark. Hyena cubs, when they're born, they look like little bears, entirely black. Also as a way of camouflaging themselves when they're inside of a termite mound, which is normally where their mother keeps them when they're little. Just as a way of, you know, if someone comes and sees, they won't be able to see them in there. So I'm going to take a road soon enough and then head in that general direction, see if perhaps we get lucky. And very likely would be the EP clan. I would imagine that has got the den there. It also used to be quite a formidable clan. During the drought that we had in 2015, 2016, that hyena clan was hunting, well, they were quite weakened because of the drought, but they were hunting buffalo all the time, really, almost like the happy zebra clan in the Mara. They were also quite something. But when they're tiny, they're cute and adorable, always full of nonsense. So fingers crossed that'll be our new mission for the morning, to try and get there and find the signal. So that's where we'll be off to. Now I'm just gonna head back to the main road. Just thought we would check around here one more time for those tracks that we had yesterday. You never know. Maybe there would have been something else here on the Djuma side, but it seems like this further area. Not much here. Alrighty, we'll go down Impala Plains, head the main road, and then potentially go with the fence line towards where this new den has been found. I do know that Sumambili also had a couple of years ago a very cool jackal den, side-striped jackal den with the 2 little kids just coming out, and they were very cute, or at least from the photos I got to see from Saber and Justin. Those were quite nice. So we're off embarking on a new mission. Did not expect it to be a hyena mission this morning, but why not? The universe provides, and then we've got to take the opportunities as they come. It'll be quite nice to catch up with them as well. Also, it will be a new clan, not necessarily the Djuma clan that we've been seeing around here, so maybe that could afford us a bit of an insight into somebody else's lives, as we do know we've got 2 big clans of hyenas around this area that keep all of the lions and leopards in line. And we shall see. I I think I took the very long road to get there, but it's fine. We'll get there eventually. Though, hard to say what one of my favorite sightings at Djuma is. I've got quite a few memorable ones. Let's see. I think one of my most favorite sightings, because it's just ranked high on my top sightings ever, was that one time that we were driving and we bumped, or we found the... well, we didn't bump, we tracked that in on that occasion. The Ngahuma Pride, when they were still around Djuma, and then we just came around this corner, and then there was the entire pride with the older cubs and what we suspect was Amber Eye's youngster, and it was a tiny little cub, I'm going to say maybe 8 weeks old, and then we had this unbelievable sighting of this feisty creature just warding off all of the older cousins and just swatting them away, and then it was just like so tiny, and it was so special. That was definitely one of my most special sightings that I've ever had on Djuma. And then I want to think what other cool sightings or really memorable sightings I've had around here. I mean, we've had a bunch of sightings with Tlalamba and Hosanna and even Thandi. I used to enjoy Shadow quite a bit, the Thandi's sister. Thandi is a leopard, for all of you that may not know some of the characters around here. And I used to love tracking Shadow and her cub, which we ended up calling not Barbara, because, you know, Barbara was not an apt name for a leopard. And I think one of the most memorable ones was also with Shadow and not Barbara. We were just driving. I was trying to learn some roads because I just started here. And I remember it was Easter Sunday. And Tristan and I had gone out to just pin down some of the roads that for whatever reason I couldn't figure out. And as we were driving onto the main sort of road, something caught our eye, and then we just spotted Shadow and this tiny little cub peering through the branches. And then it was sort of midday, so we ended up staying 2 hours until the start of drive, just so that James could come and take over for everyone to be able to share the sighting, because it was quite a special one, and we knew she had a cub and had only been seen a handful of times, because Shadow used to spend a lot of time in Arathusa. And well, obviously one of the... Does it count if it wasn't technically on Djuma but headed towards Djuma? A really cool sighting we had is I was doing field work for Panthera around this area for their camera trapping surveys, and we were just checking camera traps down on sort of Triple M South, so one of the main roads that will connect sort of Hoffman, Zarathusa on the one side and then eventually leads to Londolozi. And Tristan and I were driving and we see this animal far in the distance, and we're like, okay, it's moving like a cat. Is it a lion? Is it a leopard? Because from a certain distance you can't really tell. So we're looking at this, squinting our eyes, and then we're like, okay, lioness? No. And I was like, okay, cool, leopard. And then we're like, oh yay, the leopard is heading up, hopefully it'll stick around. And then as we start getting closer to this leopard, I think, you know, I start hitting Tristan on the arm, and then he just like grabs me, and we're like, no. And it was Hosanna coming back after a long absence, and we were just so excited to see him. I think that was one of the, I don't know, I feel like our hearts were in our throats when we realized and we saw him, that was him, and we were like, no, it can't be. But it was. And then he came around, stuck around for a few days, but he had a hard time being chased by a bunch of things, so unfortunately
Welcome back on Bushwalk. We're out and about and looking at a number of interesting little plants, trees and tracks this morning. We also had an amazing giraffe sighting. We were actually coming over here to come and see if we could find some dwarf mongoose, which we wanted to show you. So these little dwarf mongoose has got a number of burrow systems which they will rotate through within their territory. And this one, they seem to be quite often in. So what they do is that they'll rotate at these different burrow systems on a 27-day rotation period so that they can mark these, because this scent will go missing if they don't visit these little burrows often enough. And that will then lead to other dwarf mongoose occupying their territory, which could potentially lead to a conflict where we'll have to fight for their territory. I love Dwarf Mongoose for a number of reasons. They're probably one of the cutest little small predators in Africa. They weigh merely 200 grams. They're social animals which works together, which I quite like. I also find that their social structure is incredibly interesting. It's matriarchal, just like elephants, where the female is a leader, and she's also slightly larger than the remainder of a group members, and that's on average some 30% larger than other group members. Some of the other interesting things that we found right over here is the dung of both impala as well as a jackal. So you can see over here that the urine as well as the dung is fairly close to one another, and there's a number of these little field signs in the area which indicates that these animals were resting here throughout their night, and that they most likely were feeding here in the early parts of the morning. We often see that animals will be feeding on the eastern facing slopes in the early parts of the morning and then move down towards the plains areas, as those areas will heat up first. And in the summer, we find that there's a reverse in that trend, where they'll generally start in the plains in the morning and move up to the slopes in the evening. Right over here, this is scat that belongs to Jackal. I'm not 100% sure if the grass that we see over here was part of the food that it was eating. Sometimes you do see grass being taken into the diet to assist with making the animal ill or to assist with bowel movements. Jackal tend to also quite often defecate right on top of grass tufts, rocks, and quite often on top of elephant dung as well. And it's believed that that is specifically done that the scent can travel a little bit further as it's slightly more elevated. We're going to move on and go and see what else we can go and find.
Calling all WildEarth explorers, we have a new and frankly awesome travel prize for you to win. andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve encompasses an impressive 28,000 hectares of protected wildlife land in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. As you have seen on WildEarth, andBeyond Phinda showcases one of the continent's finest game viewing experiences and is well known for close-up sightings of the elegant yet elusive cheetah, as well as the rare black rhino. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer before the 16th of September, and you and a friend could be heading to the magnificent Phinda Mountain Lodge, where you will spend 3 nights escaping the real world at this ultimate safari location. WildEarth explorers, it's in your nature.
The scrap here collected a dry grass, put it next to the water hole as the hippo walks down during the warm of the day to drink the water. When the hippo arrives, he saw quite a very nice grass, an area not to resist to rest. And when the hippo went down to drink the water, and when finished the water, he just lied down on the grass. And then,
that was the opportunity of the scribe.
You know what? Today is my day to pay the revenge.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is the call of desperation with a cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops! Oof!
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
We're still looking at this crocodile there, but he's currently swimming away from us. So crocodile can stay underwater for a long time, up to 30 minutes. Obviously, this is the place they prefer to be, in the water, but we can also travel quite long distance on land. So why they would do that if they want to move to another dam? They will walk on land and cross to another dam. They will generally do it at night though. It's always nice to be at Chitwa Dam. You can hear lots of birds everywhere, but apart from that it's very quiet. A nice bird there. I'm not sure which bird is it. I would love to check, but maybe a Sandpiper. This is one area I struggle a bit more for the birding. It's the water birds. How nice is that though? That might be a Sandpiper. I need to check. Obviously, always around water there's so much more animal life, and you can watch everything from birds to reptiles to mammals, predators, prey. So it's a very, very nice place to be. Unfortunately, it's going in front of the car there. Yes, everyone is saying Chitwa Dam is always so active. Indeed, yeah. It's just today, like, lots of birds as usual, but we didn't see much apart from that and the crocodile. The crocodile is swimming away there in the distance behind that tree. So I think what we're going to do now is maybe just drive around and see if we can found any tracks of Tandy and Maribs or any other animals on the property. Yeah, so it's getting quite warm here, so summer is coming very quickly. We're even starting to have a bit more flies flying around. Obviously, there's more flies in summer when it's hot than in winter. Yeah, so I think that little bird we were watching now was a Sandpiper. I'm not sure which one though. I will have to check when I got a bit of time. So we will come back to the dam again after. We just want to do a little loop and see if there's anything happening here. It is a bit quiet on our side this morning, but we did so beautiful giraffes. We're going down in a little dip there. I'm just hoping that we're not going to lose signal. One thing I'm a bit confused is that I didn't see a lot of bird of prey. I know in the morning generally I found them quite a lot on top of the trees, like some tawny eagles. Also the battlers, we did saw some battlers yesterday, but apart from that, not much. Okay, so we'll try to find some birds of prey for you, but also any animal we can find. In the meantime, we'll send you to JP.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. At the moment we're looking at an African civet track, and we've actually been following this track for quite a while. I'm always amazed about how much ground these animals can cover in a single night. So for those of you that haven't looked at the track before and would like to know how to identify this track, I'm just going to give you a few pointers. One of the most obvious things is that you can over here see is that the round little toes and then round little bulbs at the back, of which it has two. The overall impression of a track is also quite round, So we were always taught round, round and round. And quite often you will see nails that mark at the tip. However, it's not clearly marking over here. What we can also see is that this animal has put the back foot right on top of a front foot, which appears slightly rounder, while the hind foot is slightly more elongated. And the reason is it enables it to walk quietly. Quite often, if we do follow these tracks, we eventually will get to smooth surfaced areas, either on rocks, trees, or even on man-made objects, where they will smear their anal gland and where they deposit a secretion, which is known as civetone. That secretion was also harvested commercially many years ago for the making of perfumes. If we also continue and we look hard enough, we actually might also find a midden, which is known as a civetrine, which is technically a territorial toilet for a civet. It's also quite surprising when you do look at their scat that it's incredibly thick segments, and it's often thicker than that of lion, which often confuse young guides when they look at the size of it and automatically they assume that it's lion because the segments are so thick. But if you look closer, you'll also notice that there's a large amount of seeds inside there. You'll notice that there's insect remains inside there, and quite often we find millipede remains inside there as well. As they can eat quite a wide range of different toxic animals, and millipedes itself can provide quite a potent toxin, and there's very few animals that can actually consume them. I find civets quite interesting as that they actually can also become very used to humans as well, and they often frequent rest camps as well as kitchen areas within camps. Quite a few times in the past I've walked into them at night time, and they can produce quite an alarming sound or growling sound, which can be very intimidating. Good morning, Jason, and welcome to the show. To answer your question, they are neither a cat and neither are they a rodent. They are actually viverids. They're cat-like creatures. And if we look at the taxonomy of carnivores, we can split them off in two groups, those that are dog-like carnivores and those that are cat-like carnivores. And within the cat-like carnivores, some of them that we get is civets and genets, which is in the same family. Then we also get hyenas. Quite often people confuse hyenas for being dogs or dog-like carnivores, which they're not. They're actually more closely related to the civets and genets, and then obviously the larger cat species and smaller cat species, which will fall into that group. And right over here, we've also got a track of one of our larger cat species, leopard. And if we have a look over here, this is a front foot, much more rounded in appearance, typical once again of cats, having two lobes at the back, unlike that of dogs, which has three. The toes tend to also be much more rounded in males compared to females, which has got more teardrop-shaped toes. We often find that both civets as well as leopard, as well as a number of other animals, will just simply use these roads to walk on because it's more effective in terms of conserving energy than rather to try and walk through the bush. It's also easier to mark your territory than going from one little territorial toilet to the next one. As we move off, let's go and see what the others are up to.
Yeah, so welcome back. We're still exploring Tswalu. Not much so far. So we on a bumble. I still didn't hear much on the radio as well, so I think what we're going to do is still look around here and maybe head back to Djuma if we don't find anything here. There was some report of leopard tracks on the western side of Djuma, so maybe we could go check there as well. It is always nice to drive here though. What I like here at Tswalu, there's one very nice opening area not far from the dam. We just passed there already, and it's a bit like quarantine in a way, the way it is open. But I would love to see one leopard walking in that opening one time. That would have been amazing. Also, one thing which is nice, that shows that the season is changing. We drove earlier and we saw some new leaves on the knob thorn. Knob thorn normally start to get green before the rain arrives, and it is very nice to see that. And I think I've spotted another one there. It's not the best visual, but just to show you. I will just make, yeah, that would be a knob thorn there in the distance. With still some flowers on it. So you can see there's fresh new leaves on it. So that's very nice. That means summer is around the corner. So you would see that there's still some flowers, but the leaves are back. Yeah, I was saying yesterday that summer might arrive a bit early. The reason would be that because I saw some flowers already on the knob thorn. Oh, look at that woodpecker, well spotted, Morgan. Look at that woodpecker there. Like a bearded woodpecker, I think. Yeah, I was saying that the flowers on the knob thorn came very early this year. So summer might come a bit early. Maybe the rain will be a bit earlier as well. But it's nice to see some leaves back already. But this woodpecker there is very nice as well. Okay, so we'll stay with that bird and see if it stays here. In the meantime, we'll send you to Ellie.
Success, guys! We have managed to find the Hyena Den. Yay! So, believe it or not, there is a hyena in there. We just saw one of the adults come out, and apparently the guys in the west were saying that they've got 2 brand new little ones in there. Now, I don't want to drive closer to the den because obviously the little ones are there and we're trying to be sensitive with the sighting. So we're going to patiently wait around here for a little bit. The adult was out just now and we could see it coming out of the hole, and he was she was kind of sniffing around. So I'm sure if we're just a little bit patient, we might get rewarded with a nice sighting of the hyena. Yeah, got an ear. So at least you guys know we're not lying. There's definitely a hyena in there. As I was saying earlier, I suspect this might be the EP clan just because of location, but it'll be quite nice to maybe take the opportunity and spend some time with another clan of hyenas, which I don't think it's something that's been awarded in a very long time. So we're just going to have to sit tight patiently and then see if we can identify whoever it is, and if not, maybe we'll even get to know the little ones. It would be quite lovely if we did. I don't think she's suckling. Normally when hyenas suckle, it's quite a long affair that can last maybe about an hour, because she was just up and moving, and I think when we drove around, she just kind of lifted her head, saw us, and then just she was not bothered. She was like, oh, humans and cars again, and then she went back into the den. So they've chosen, in very typical hyena fashion, an old termite mound, and they've probably excavated a little bit, and then, they've taken advantage of the efforts of warthogs, porcupines, maybe even aardvarks, that have created enough of a cavity in there for not only the female to be in there, but for the little ones. And as you may know, termite mounds have a lot of chambers inside and hallways and cavities because of all the termites moving. So they provide actually a very secure spot for little ones. And I mean, they're probably about the size of maybe just a large kitten, I would say. Definitely bulkier, so not slim but that's, what I'm guessing from what the guys have said. So hopefully we'll see. Just going to have to sit tight and wait. Lucky we've got patience pants on today. There's always the just one blade of grass, isn't it? Or in this case, the clump.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. We're out and about still and looking at tracks and signs, and in the hope to find some more animals for this morning. So one of the field signs that we got is this area which has been disturbed here, and as you can see, it's a fairly large area that's been disturbed, and this disturbance has been created by zebra. And we can see those round hooves in the center with a tiny little triangle to the back part of the pad, which is typical of zebra. What they were doing is that they were actually dust bathing right over here. So often they'll loosen the soil and come and roll in the soil to keep themselves cool, but also to get rid of parasites that might be on the coat. We also find sometimes that we'll find fine little white or black hairs inside here. One of the other animal species which often will indulge in dust bathing is also the blue wildebeest, which we often encounter around here. However, with that, we'll find a very different foot structure, as well as that the horns will often mark in the soil when they will roll. So I often get asked, how do we age tracks and how we determine when did it take place? We know that this has taken place yesterday afternoon, as that there's a number of nocturnal species of animal that has moved over the area that has been dust bathed in. Here is one of them. This is a spotted hyena that has moved through here. Here we've got an African civet that's moved through here. And then over here we've got a tiny little genet track. And then right over here, another animal that tends to be quite often more active at night rather than daytime is jackal. And I'm not sure if this is a blackback or either a side-striped jackal, as we have both of them there, and the footprints look identical. One of the ways that we can separate the jackal track from that of the African civet is if we put a little grass blade between the toes. It will cut a line between the toes without cutting through the back pad of the foot. So it will make a perfect little cross. If we just put another one there, there's a little cross between the toes and the back pad, which is a sure way to separate jackal from civet. For me, the general impression of a jackal track always looks like that of a little Christmas tree.
Welcome back with us. So we're still looking around Tswalu. Not much happening here, unfortunately, at the moment. It was very nice to see a woodpecker earlier. So yeah, I didn't see any tracks as well of any leopards. So we were hoping that maybe Maribs and Tandy would be around, but I'm not sure. But we will keep on looking. It's funny, Tswalu is a place where I don't come too much. But like I'm still struggling with the roads here. Like we're driving around and I'm not sure exactly where I am. But I think you have to drive a bit more to learn. It looks like now we're going to reach Gary Main. I think this is not far from where we got that sighting, Morgan, with Maribs a while ago. It was when Maribs killed the scrubber. Okay, so yeah, last time when I was there, well, the first time I did my stint actually, we saw Maribs killing a scrubber, and it was just around there. So we know that he liked this area, this is why we came to check here. But I think what we will do now is maybe go check Twin Dam, see if there's anything there, and drive around Djuma, try to find anything that we can find. But it is very nice also to see that the knob fawn have some leaves again, so it will give us a little bit more shade when we drive. When you're asking if leopards and crocodile in that area, I never saw it. Obviously, if a leopard will hunt a crocodile, it would have to be a small one. So it can happen, but it's not like in South America where the jaguars like to catch the caiman and the crocodiles there. It's a bit more rare. But I'm sure it can happen, especially smaller crocodiles. But they would not be, obviously, focusing mainly on crocodiles. But it's a good question, actually. I would love to see a leopard trying to catch a crocodile. Lions sometimes try to do it, and then it can be like a bit of a fight between the lions and the crocodile. But on my side, I never saw it. Must have been like a very, very nice sighting, actually. Now most of the predators, they will, if they have the chance, they will try to catch anything. So, because any little piece of meat is good for them. But they don't want to spend too much energy on catching a prey which is too small for them, because they don't want to waste that energy, actually. There's a little dip here. I'm scared I'm going to lose signal, so I'm just going to stop here, and there's a wildebeest walking in the distance. With some impalas. Maybe we can have a look at it. We are nice and high, and then there's the riverbed underneath us. So that would be, I think, a bull, a male wildebeest walking alone there. You will often see different type of antelopes together. What we say is basically safety in numbers. So because they will be together, there will be more of them, and we can look around and hear for any predators. There's an impala on that side. Also, they eat the same food, except that the impalas are mixed feeders, so they will eat leaves and grass, but the wildebeest will eat only grass. More impalas coming there. It does feel like summer is back because it's not even 8 o'clock and it's already warm. Oh, is that a Nyala there? On the right hand side, in the little ditch there. Maybe I will have to reverse a little bit. Let me reverse a bit and then I will point it to you, Morgan. So, there we go. We get it. In the ditch there, just next to that magic quarry. Yeah, so we saw another type of antelope, which is a Nyala. And I saw one also walking on the other side, but we can't really see it anymore. Nyala males are really, really beautiful. It's a bit sad now that it's looking away from us, but they have beautiful markings on their faces. Yeah, I can see more Nyalas walking in the background. Looks like it's a very good spot for antelopes here. I'm thinking that maybe because it's quite bushy, there's lots of leaves, and so basically there will be more food for for them. There we go. Look at this here. Can hear a woodpecker in the background as well. Looks like it's walking behind that termite mound. Just went to hide. Okay, so instead of continuing on Gary Main, let's try to drive again on G12, see if there's anything. There's a road next to us here. So let's see if there's anything on that road.
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world, live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more.
It's day one of the annual South African Guide of the Year competition, and our first foot into this competition this morning is all about tracks and signs.
We're going to call you in one at a time. Just look at it, the information will be there.
Our 5 guides have been tasked by the judges at figuring out who is what is who, and where they go in the bush.
Either Franklin or guinea fowl, but because of the volume of other deposits in the area, we went with guinea fowl.
Detailing the surrounding that you need to look out for tracks. The details is very important.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. We're busy looking at a wattle tree, and this one is known as an African wattle. And if we look at it closer, it can be understand why it's often being confused for a fawn tree. However, it doesn't have any fawns, and when you pull your hand through the leaves, you can see nothing happens. What I do find particularly interesting is that there's a number of insect species that associate with this tree, and one of those species are actually spittlebugs. And these tiny little scale insects, they will basically sit on the tree and they will suck out the sap from the tree. So the excess sap then gets excreted, and it appears if it's raining from a tree. Hence the alternative name for this tree also being a rain tree. It also does the tree a lot of good, as that nutrient-rich moisture that falls to the base of a tree will also provide nutrients to the plant at a later stage. Some of the other interesting associations of this plant is when it starts flowering, is that it attracts large amounts of bees, and therefore it's one of the plant species which is targeted often by and planted by beekeepers to attract bees to their beehives. It's also an important plant maybe to plant in between agricultural crops to encourage bees to come over there so that they can pollinate the plants which you are growing. We also find in a lot of the rural areas, beekeeping is becoming incredibly important as an additional source of income, but also to protect your crops against species such as elephants. A tiny little insect such as a bee can actually keep away a 6,000 kilogram animal from your crops. For some reason, elephants just are incredibly afraid of bees. We're going to move on and go and see what else we can go and find. As we're moving off, let's go and see what Cedric is up to.
Yeah, so we're driving around, still on Chitwa. I lost my comb there. So I'm actually not sure if I'm live, but I'm still talking just to make sure I'm live. Yeah, so we did look around, but not much is happening. So I think we are going to continue and head towards Djuma. I'm just checking around here if there's anything. It is quite nice to drive next to that little riverbed here. So it is quite funny sometimes. You're driving and we can lose our communication sometimes, so you're not sure what is going on. But this is part of reporting live from the bush. No, sorry, Morgan, I'm not sure. We are. So now I just got confirmation that we are live, so that's very nice. And Grant, you're asking what animal is the best to look at to find predators, if I got that question right. Yeah, so I really like to listen to impalas. Impalas are very reliable when they alarm call. So if you hear impalas alarm calling, you can be sure there's a predator around, but also some kudus. And the kudus, they can alarm call from very far and you will hear it because it's very, very loud. So we are back now on the same spot where we were earlier, where we saw the Nyala. And I saw, I think in the distance, some guinea fowl running away. But I think we'll continue and see what's going on there. I can still hear my woodpecker in the background. Guinea fowl alarm calls as well, actually, it's quite nice. Especially when there's a leopard, we can get quite noisy. But other animals like squirrels, for example, it's not really good. You can always check, you have to check actually. But when squirrel alarm calls, it can be a bird of prey, can be a snake, so it will not mean that it is a predator. Well, son, you're asking if can different species of antelope mate successfully? I don't think so, no. I never heard of it. But yes, I know with cats it is possible that a lion and a tiger mate, but for the antelopes I don't think so. I never saw it on my side, I never heard about it, so my opinion would be no. But I'm sure some of you knows about it, so if you know, please let me know. Okay, so I think we're going to try to drive through that little riverbed there. I don't want to lose too much time here. I want to try to make our best efforts to find some good segment for you. It was a very quiet morning, and it would be good if we can get something interesting at the end of the show. Can hear some oxpeckers flying. Oh, we wanted to show you a beautiful Nyala, where it is. Look at that beautiful male Nyala. Please don't go away from us. There it is, eating there. They are beautiful antelopes. I don't know if you saw it before, but when there's two male a bit in competition, they do like a dance. I'm calling it a dance, but the hair on the back is getting up and they walk very, very slowly. It is very, very nice to see. But you can see, obviously there's a big difference between Nyalas and kudu. I've been asked a few times what is the difference. Kudus are much bigger and also a lighter color, where the male Nyala is quite dark, and you can see the hair on the neck is very long. Also, if you look at the legs, you can see the brown color on the legs that look like socks. Kudus also will have much bigger ears and bigger horns for the males. Yeah, so I was saying the last time that kudus is my favorite antelope, but the antelope that I found the prettiest would be the Nyala. Just found, I'm looking in the distance there and just saw another nub fawn that's starting to have leaves, so this is very, very nice. Oh, there's actually one in front of us. Maybe Morgan can zoom on it and show you. Like, it's the first time of the season that I noticed it. So you can see there's still some flowers on it, but you can see the new leaves coming out. So at this time of the year, when the knob fawns start to have leaves, they are one of the first trees who start having their leaves again. So when you look in the distance, you will see it's dry, 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 and then little ball of green patches around. So generally these are the knob fawns. Okay, let's carry on. Our Nyala is walking further, a little bit further back into the bush. So I think what we will do now is continue on Gary Main, see if there's anything there, any tracks. It's a good road to do also to check if anything crossed from the southern properties into Djuma or crossed from Djuma into the southern properties. So it's always nice to check there. I'm not sure, maybe we might go check Twin Dam as well. I haven't seen much around Twin Dam lately. I've just got a communication from FC there, but I didn't get it. I'm sure they will send it back to me again. Yeah, I was saying Twin Dam I've been quite quiet. I got a comment, if I got it right, is like someone is saying very happy that the bush will be green again. Yes, if that is a comment, I totally agree. It would be very, very nice to see the bush green and colorful again. Like this is what is nice actually here, is that during winter it's better for the animals because it's less thick, the bush is more open, also there's less water, so it's easier to find them. But in summer it is beautiful, it is green and the colors are amazing, there's lots of birds coming back, so it's very good for birding. And yeah, so it's completely two different type of atmosphere, I would say. I like both of them, but it's so nice that it is different. Otherwise it gets a bit monotone, you know, it's nice that things are changing, so it gives a bit of activity around. Also, it will affect a lot of the breeding of animals as well, so especially now with the birds that will start to come back to breed in that part of Africa. So I apologize for the little technical issues we're having now. Sometimes I'm not getting communication very well, so this is why it's a little bit awkward. I apologize for that. But I'm sure when we get closer to Djuma it will get better. It is one of the most quiet mornings I had so far. Yeah, no, I think let's continue straight today and see if there's anything. Maybe what we can do now is try Leadwood Road actually and check for Batilda. That's a good idea. Often we saw Batilda on Leadwood Road, so maybe we can check there. We're not too far from there. I would love to see Batilda again. It's been a while now. Mikey, you're asking if I can hear lots of animals moving through the camp at night. We can hear, yes, but also we can see them. We get some hyenas sometime. I'm just going to park there. There's one vehicle coming on the side there. We were sitting around a fire about a couple of nights ago, and that, like, one hyena just popped his head, just like next to the little gate there. It was quite funny to see that hyena looking at us. So yeah, we can hear them, we can hear the lions roar, we can hear the leopard, we can hear the hyenas, but we often see them as well. We got some elephant in camps in the past. Hyenas is almost every night. Yeah, so it is quite nice living like that, I must say. Being so close to nature, it quite exciting. Well, I was talking now, I just hope I didn't miss the turn for the Leadwood Road, but I think it's still ahead. Yeah, it is still ahead. Yeah, it would be very nice to see Batilda. Or any other bird of. We got a very, very nice sighting. Very nice sighting. I will show you where. The last time I was here, while we were looking at Batilda, it started calling. And where it was on that dead leadwood at the end there. There we go. So this was where it was. I had to stop, unfortunately. We're losing signal where we are. So yeah, so that was a very nice sighting. It was calling very close to us. I know lots of you guys enjoyed it. But just to talk about that tree as well, this is a leadwood. one of my favorite trees, but this one is obviously dead. But even when they are dead, they can stand like that for hundreds of years. They are such beautiful trees, but have a lot of... It's a very hard wood, so this is why they can stand for a long time, even after they are dead. So, yeah, so you can see there's some nests on the trees. What is interesting also at this time of the year is that the wahlberg eagles are back, and they tend to use the same nest every year when they come back. I did spot a few of them. Unfortunately, I couldn't show it to you, but I will try again if I can see some. Yeah, so this is a nub fawn as well. It's like it's a nub fawn there. I'm trying to look in my binos if I can't spot any sign of a battler, but I can't see it, unfortunately. Yeah, so to come back to the Leadwood, it's very, very good hardwood. So I was saying that the Leadwood is a very good hardwood to do barbecues as well. Very nice to cook on it, and it gives very, very good charcoal. But it is a protected tree, so you're not allowed to cut any Leadwood. Oh, I think it was a rock monitor, but it went into that hole underneath that dead tree there. I think it was a rock monitor or a snake, I'm not sure. I can't see it anymore, but yes, if you zoom you will see there's a hole going in there. But I can't see it, it just went, I heard something and I just saw the tail going in there. Might come back out. Yeah, so we're sitting here, and it's always good to look around, but most of the animals are very quick. So you can see the little dead tree there with a hole, but behind it there's one tree that I like as well. It's a magic guarri. You can see it's green at the back. The magic guarri, what is nice is that first of all it stays green all year round, so it gives good shade to the animals, and it makes the landscape also very pretty. I'm sure you're very familiar with it, especially at Ngala. When I watch the show, there's quite a lot of them there. But you can use also that tree as a toothbrush. So if you break a little branch of it, there's like fibers coming out, and it can be used as a toothbrush. I just need to move. I'm unfortunately on Gary Main, and there's a vehicle coming at the back there. Let me just go park just a little bit in front there. And I will let go. Okay, so we'll continue here and see if we can find anything.
Welcome back to Bushwalk. We decided to leave a ridge as it started becoming incredibly warm up there, and the animals started moving down to the flat plains areas as well as towards the dams to come and have a drink. Our first impalas have just arrived to come and have a drink. One that we have in the front there is a ram, and we can separate rams from the ewes by them having horns. However, there's one of the females in the area that actually does have horns, which is quite a rare occurrence. They're much thinner at the base of the skull, and in her case, the one horn is also deformed. Let's just sit and watch them and see what they get up to. He's going to try and also get a view on some of the ewes as well in a moment. Quite a few of them is already starting to show on the bellies. And they've started mating around by late April, and then we find that the rutting season was already done here by July. And they generally carry for some 6.5 months. And normally by November, they will start dropping their lambs. That's also one of my favourite parts of the year in the bush. Firstly, the rut, and secondly, the lambing season of the impalas. It's also a very interesting time of the year in the bush, as there's a number of different predators that will all try and make a go on these young impala lambs. And these range from anything from big predators, birds of prey such as martial eagles, as well as baboons, which I've occasionally have seen actually tearing apart young impala lambs and then eating them. Welcome back to Bushwalk. We're at Leopard Dam at the moment, and we're just enjoying the tranquility of the dam and all the animals coming in for a drink. We're just going to allow for a silent segment so that you can enjoy the sounds of nature and watch these impalas as they come in and out to have a little drink. Well, we're going to hang around here for quite a while and see what's going to happen, but let's go and check what Ali is up to.
Well, unfortunately we had to leave the hyena sighting. Seems like there are a couple of things not working in the technical world and with the gremlins. But I believe Marcel will be able to fix them. We just need to get a couple of things in town, and then hopefully that will work. I mean, we were at the den itself, and then there was signal, so I'm pretty sure we're going to be able to go there again and then just hopefully put the little cubs on camera and the adults more than, you know, just the tip of the ear that we were looking at. But I think we're going to leave that for the afternoon mission. There's not too long to go now for the drive, and then just in case something goes wrong, we'd rather just stick around here, but at least we know where it is, so we've got kind of one in the bank for later on, which is quite lovely. I haven't seen little hyena cubs in quite a while, so I really hope that the guys did not exaggerate when they said they were small and that, you know, they're still dark and pretty enough. not fluffy yet, funny enough. Hyena cubs, when they're small, they're not fluffy. They get fluffier as they grow older and they start getting their spots and their coat starts lightening up. So we've decided to come around, check sort of the northeastern corner of Djuma, see if maybe Tlalamba is anywhere around here, or if perhaps by any chance we can come across any signs of that other male that Darren and Cedric had yesterday. And if not, then we'll slowly make our way towards Buffelshoek Dam. It's shaping up to be quite a hot day today. It's warmed up a lot. I mean, you can see my arms now, which I think it's the first time that I've shown them to you live without all the jerseys on a morning drive anyway. And if it's nice and hot, maybe we'll get lucky with some Ellies going there for a drink. We did bypass some elephants on the way back to camp when Marcel was checking some of our technical stuff. A nice big herd of, well, not big, but, you know, a group of males. And it was quite nice because there was, oh, my neck, there was this male with nice big thick tusks as well, which I suspect was the older one, and then a bunch of youngsters just kind of with hanging around with him. And it's in the elephant world, when the youngsters leave their herd, it's often you'll find them trailing or in the company of adult males, which is a very good thing because then they learn sort of a few tricks of the trade of how to be an elephant and how to be a polite elephant or a polite adult male elephant. And they do learn from them, and they just keep each other company for a while. I mean, elephants are quite highly sociable creatures, so I'm sure they also just like the company of somebody else. And then until, of course, they come across a female that might be an estrus, and then all bets are off, and then there are no friendships left as everyone's trying to woo the female and potentially mate with her. But maybe this afternoon we'll get more elephants. Seems like it would be a nice elephant day today, especially around the dam. So maybe if you watch the dam cam or Djuma's dam cam, keep an eye out on it. Let's say for the harder part of the day, there might be a few things that come for a drink. Who knows, maybe even a spotted cat somewhere in there. Let's see. We had, the last time I saw Tavangumi was around here. Michael, the Hyena Den is not on Djuma. The Hyena Den is on Simbambili, so very close, just kind of west and south from the dam on a road called Shumbane. So not on Djuma. It's actually quite far away from Djuma. So that's what I was saying. Maybe it's the EP clan, the one that's denning there, because we are very far from where we normally have had all the dens on Djuma. But I suppose it's a mystery we can try and solve later on. At least we've got that going. What is that on top of that termite mound? I feel like it's just another termite mound, but let's have a look with the binoculars quickly. I think I'm imagining things again. So while I look for actual creatures, we're gonna send you guys across to Cedric, who's at the dam.
Yeah, so we did drove on Gary Main and then head towards Weaver's Nest. Now we are at Treehouse Dam and we found a hammer cup. As you can see, currently looking for food. What is quite amazing about these birds, they are not that big, but they build very, very big nest, always close to water. And actually why the nest is so big is that because they go and stay inside the nest. So they have to put a lot of stick, like a big ball, and there will be a little hole in the middle where they will walk in and stay inside the nest. So they can eat quite a lot of things, like from frogs, tadpoles, even small fish as well. They would feed also on aquatic insects, but even on some small mammals. So we did look around here, not much is happening. It is getting very warm already, Might have found my pied kingfisher there. Yes, sorry, Morgan. If you go on the left-hand side, you will see there's a dead tree trunk next to the water. There we go. There's a pied kingfisher, which is one of the true hoverers. So they can fly and staying in the same spot. Very long beak, as you can see, obviously. They use that to catch the fish. And it is gone. But our armor cup is still walking around. Oh, there it is again. And our armor cup is flying away, coming closer to us actually. Yeah, but I really like pied kingfishers. I think you all know now that I really like kingfishers in general. My favorite one would be the woodland, but I really enjoy the pied kingfisher as well.
I think sometimes you need just to listen. So it's a kind of taking out all that other spirit and bring back wilderness and healthy bushwalk and trek and sign. I'm sure I'm good at that. I spend most of my time on the ground since I was a young boy, so I think I'm good with that. Actually, I'm not much nervous of any category. Just take it as it is. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure on what the judges are looking at. So chances are 50-50 on my side. I'm not... Obviously, when you go for a competition, you say you win.
I've seen something I've never seen here before. Look at these cubs. One is crossing the river. It's being washed away, unfortunately, but I'm sure the mother is going to save her. Look at that. How beautiful. Look at that. One crossing, two to go.
So we left our little kingfisher there in Ammercup. Just wanted to drive around Philemon Cut Line and maybe check Mendoza or Zoe's Road. We'll decide when we get around there. I know there was some leopard tracks on Zoe's Road, I think around Zoe's Road this morning, that I heard on the radio, so maybe it's a good thing to go check there. But in the meantime, there's some wildebeest on the road on Philemon's Cut Line, and there's a young one. She's quite cute actually. Clark, just going to go a little bit forward, and we might just cross the road in front of us. Oh, it's a young wildebeest there. There's also another one at the back there, rolling in the dust. Well, it stopped rolling now. This is quite a usual place to see them. They're always on film and cut line. Well, most of the time. How cute is this little one? So obviously for the wildebeest, both male and female will have horns. So it makes it a little bit trickier to differentiate. So while we watched that clip of the Mara earlier, so this is what you can go see there, the migration with the white-bearded wildebeest. It is the blue wildebeest that we're watching at. We found another type of wildebeest also in South Africa called the Black Wildebeest, but we don't get them in this area. It is always nice when you park the car and the animals walk towards you. Some of them sometimes just like to turn around and go away from you. I do like wildebeest. I think the color on their skin is very, very nice. It's like they're going to walk behind us, unfortunately, now. Yeah, talking about the wildebeest, I would love to see the great migration with the wildebeest and the zebras crossing the rivers. So for those of you who's going to join that expedition, it is a very good choice. You're asking why they are called blue wildebeest. I'm not sure actually. Their real name is the blue gnu. Maybe it's because when the sun shines on them there's a little silver blue color, but I am not sure why they are called exactly why the blue wildebeest. If any of you knows, please let me know. But the black wildebeest is called black wildebeest because they are much darker. And they have a beautiful white tail as well, the black wildebeest. So I'm going to carry on because we're moving into that block there behind us. Yeah, so there's a few species of wildebeest, but the correct name for the blue wildebeest is actually the gnu, the blue gnu. And this is when, before I came to South Africa also, it was quite easy for me to say that because it is, we say the same in French as well actually, a gnu. So, yeah, so in South Africa and some other countries we call it the wildebeest. The black wildebeest, I have the chance to see them a few times. What is very nice is that they run in line, because the white tail, they have a very nice white tail. It's like jumping up and down, so it's very pretty to see. Also the black wildebeest, the blue wildebeest, you saw the horns is on the side. The black wildebeest, the horn goes in front, so it's quite different. Obviously it's always good to have wildebeests around because it is a very good source of food for the lions. But it is one of the fastest antelope. If I'm not mistaken, it can run up to about between 80 and 100 kilometers an hour. I will double check that, but I looked the last time. It's one of the fastest antelope we get here. And I saw in the past, actually in the Sabi sand, lions trying to catch one, and this wildebeest just went like a rocket. It was quite amazing to see them how fast they can run. The only problem for them, unfortunately, is that sometimes they are very curious. So if there's a lion lying in the grass, so if there's a lion lying in the grass, they sometimes try to go and see what is there if you're not sure if it's a lion. So often they do that and then they get too close and the lions catch them. So I just got confirmation there that they can run up to 80 kilometers an hour. This is exactly the same speed as a lion, actually. Leopards will be a little bit slower at 60 kilometers per hour. And yeah, so they are very fast. But I think their downfall is that sometimes they're just a little bit too curious and don't think a lot, so they go closer to the lions and they get taken down. Okay, talking about wildebeest, why don't we have a look at that beautiful expedition coming in 2022?
The Masai Mara in Kenya is an iconic wilderness filled with life. Its inspirational beauty has captivated our hearts on WildEarth for many years. While this season of the world's greatest migration has been missed, WildEarth is preparing a spectacular comeback in 2022. For the first time ever, WildEarth will be running expeditions to Kenya's Masai Mara throughout the 2022 migration season. Hosted by David Githu and Isaac Rotich, you could be a part of the team that shares the wildebeest migration with the world, live on WildEarth's daily safaris. If you're interested, then head over to our website to find out more.
Well, seems like we managed to, find the elephants by thinking like the elephants. It's, as we said, it's getting very hot, and then so the dams are gonna be a popular spot now before it gets a little too hot. And then as we came around Buffelshoek Dam, then we were lucky enough to find these two adult bulls over here. And we were chatting earlier about the bulls we bumped onto in Simamili when we were looking at the Hyena Den. And I think we've got a similar scenario around here where we've got an older bull and a younger bull, and then the younger bull probably just keeping company or with keeping the older bull company and just sticking around with him, learning a few tricks of the trade. That's what I assume, because we found them both together here. But we'll see in a little bit later if, they go their separate ways or not. For now, it's really nice to spend some time with them and then just drinking. I haven't come across too many elephants lately, even though it's been quite hot. Just on the edge of the water, these two guys. Who says they don't play even when they're older? That was definitely just for giggles. Michelle, we don't see many tuskers in the Sabi San. We do see males with quite impressive tusks every now and again. We passed one just earlier on, but not quite the tuskers or what Kruger would define as a tusker. I think on Pridelands, if you were watching a couple months ago, they are graced by the visit of Ezulwini, which is one of the I want to say, tuskers. I don't know if he's been classified as a tusker or still as an emerging tusker, but they are not that common around here. Unfortunately, it seems that because of their ivory, they were hunted down before a lot of conservation rules were put in place all around the world, I'm going to say. And so the gene was not spread on or hasn't been spread on as much, but with the protection of conservation areas and our elephant populations around, then I think we've got an opportunity to maybe in the near future start seeing more of these tuskers come in and out. I've only seen actually one of them in Djuma, but I'm not sure if it even had a name back in the day, and then two in the southern Sabi San, and they often come in and out via the Sabi River or the San River, which is their boundary with the Kruger National Park and the Sabi San down in that area. Guys, you must be really thirsty. I think they can drink up to about 100 liters at a time, or when they come for a drinking bout. Because I suspect from here, if they don't find a spot where to mud wallow, and I was actually kind of hoping that this male would decide to get in because it's getting very hot and it's always nice. Maybe he'll spray some mud on top of himself or maybe some dust and then head to the shade for the next little while, and perhaps he'll feed on the trees on that little cove where the other elephant is. And I think they're gonna take it easy today. There's not too much water around here, so if they were to go from here, they would either have to go all the way down to Chitwa Dam, perhaps Torchwood Dam, or they would have to go into the northern camps, into Buffelshoek, which is a bit of a walk from here still. I love it when elephants kind of sit that way and they cross their legs, almost like a person does when they're sitting. I think he wants to get to the other elephant, but he is pondering on how to do it. I think there's a steep bank in there, so maybe he's just trying to figure out what the best way down is without actually misstepping and then falling into the water. When you're that big, falling down is not a great experience. Can you hear the water splashing? Are you gonna go mud bath? Hopefully, yes. I like it when elephants, or particularly bull elephants, walk with that kind of swagger, you know, and there's a lot of like bobbing of their heads, and then they just come around like, yeah, I'm quite cool. I think perhaps what we're seeing now in terms of behavior is that he wants to get to where the other elephant is. Perhaps he wants to try and get some of the mud over there. And he's approaching in a kind of like a respectful way, not pulling the other elephant out of the way and taking his time to approach him. And I actually think that the second elephant might have fallen asleep drinking. I think his eyes are closed. It's not uncommon for elephants when they're drinking or when they're eating, they just kind of close their eyes and then they just pretty much fall asleep, which I think is what we're looking at now.
Welcome back to Bushwalk. We're still sitting at Leopard Dam and waiting for some more animals to come to have a drink as the temperatures are increasing. We can really feel that spring is now in the air, and we can also hear that there's so much more bird activity in terms of calls and duration and length of a call at the moment. Hopefully we'll have some rain very soon, which will also start triggering the breeding season. It's sometimes quite difficult to judge with a camera how far the birds are away and if you can pick them up. Because my ears are quite attuned to the softest of bird calls in the distance, I'm just going to share with you what I hear. One of them is a yellow-breasted palace. For me, it's an easy way to remember always. It sounds like a group of cheerleaders that's encouraging the rugby team to drink. It says drink, 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 which is a very easy way to remember calls is by putting a little donkey bridge to it. One of the other calls I'm hearing is a metallic sound of a fork-tailed drongo, as well as an airplane that's coming over. That's the anti-poaching patrol that just does regular routine checks in the area. Coming back to the bird calls that we can hear, there's also a rated flycatcher that we can hear in the background. That sounds like something tree, 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 tree. So I always remember that he says tree, tree, which is similar to the oil, and that's my little donkey bridge for him. Another call that we hear in the background is that of a brown-hooded kingfisher, which is another regular resident that stays here at the dam. I tried to follow him to go and see where his little nest was the other day. Unfortunately, I got sunk into the mud. We also see there's a number of swifts coming in and out. Unfortunately, they're so fast that we battle to get them on camera. They generally fly directly over water to come and catch insects or to skim the surface of the water so that they can quickly come and get a drink. Some of the other calls that we can hear in the background is a brew-brew. That sounds like an old telephone, something like...
Well, it seems like the one elephant did want to get closer to the second elephant, and now they're drinking at quite a short distance from one another. It's all been very peaceful, except for all the splashing, and the elephant at the back, kind of with the advance of this one, woke up a little bit and started drinking again. Let's see what happens now. I think even from an angle, the one on the left is clearly the bigger elephant, so he's probably is pulling rank on this one, or on the smaller one that is there, and I think he just wants to get to that spot in the shade, and the younger elephant just seems to be in the way, but there doesn't seem to be any particular aggression or anything around it. I think it's just them sharing the space, and then the one trying to figure out how he's going to get onto the other side. I'll be surprised if eventually, gives him a bit of a nudge, maybe not even, a very gentle nudge, just for the younger elephant to get out of the way. I can actually see the water going up in their trunk. Oh yeah, there we go. It's funny, sometimes elephants are like little kids, especially when it comes to water, and if you have the opportunity of going into a hide or anywhere where you see that there's a pipe and there's fresh water being pumped, because elephants are quite finicky with their water and they prefer to drink clean water rather than stagnant water. It's funny how they'll push each other's trunks out of the way to try and get that water that is just coming out. The rest of the water in that particular water hole can be clean, but they want that one. And then you'll have all of them concentrating in the same spot and pushing each other's trunks around, and then they get upset and then they trumpet. And I think in this case, there was the entire dam for this elephant to go and drink, but he's decided he wanted the water over there. I kind of thought that maybe he wanted to go there because there's a little bit more mud. It's a bit shallow in there. Perhaps if the elephant wants to get in the water, maybe that's a bit of an easier step. Considering where we are now, there are other spots around the dam, but that would imply him having to walk around all the way. But it just seems that for now, he just wanted that spot. Maybe the water tastes better on the other side. I see it's quite shallow where he is. And then the other elephants just retreated further into the drainage. There are a few shady spots there, so maybe they'll just have a bit of a snooze around the shade and then carry on moving a little bit later on. And you see they're flapping their ears every so often. Obviously, as we've been mentioning, it's quite hot, so it's a way for the elephants to cool down, as they tend to flap their ears, especially if they go downwind, and then the wind will hit the back of the ears, cool the blood down, and then as the blood in the ears carries on flowing through the rest of the body, then it's going to cool the animal down. It's just a way that elephants have for regulating their body temperature. The ears are like big radiators. You just want to get your feet wet in there. Kylie, elephants can form bachelor herds. I was just saying earlier, a lot of the times you'll have one older male and then the youngsters with them, and they've been giving the name of Askaris quite often, which means companion, if I'm not mistaken, in Swahili. and they'll shadow the males and then be with the older ones, or sometimes you'll just find them in smaller associations of bachelor herds. They are not necessarily like a female herd where they'll be together all the time with the youngsters. These guys will spend some time together, and then when they feel like it, they can just trail off on their own. So they don't have these very strict and deep bonds with one another. They'll recognize each other if they leave one another and meet up again at some stage, but it's not as the female elephants that will always be with her herd or in a group. I'm pretty sure these elephants are falling asleep.
RSA has a long history, over 90 years, of being involved and even pioneering aspects of the conservation sector in South Africa. Over that long history, we have realized that all of the issues that we are facing both locally and globally are due to human impact. Therefore, we need to concentrate on working with people, and that is what WESA does. What makes me passionate about the work that we do at WESA, and in particular the work that I engage in, is actually connecting with people. Currently the work that I'm working on is working with youth in a skills development program, and just to meet the youth and to hear their stories and to bring them opportunities that we hope will have some impact on their lives really, really fuels me to get up every morning. A huge shout out to the women that I work with, as well as to all the women that are contributing hugely within the environmental sector, both in South Africa and in the world.
And I turned to Shaw and I saw that she had this panicked look on her face. Either she was afraid that something had happened, or she was afraid that she was going to miss out on something. But instead of her missing out on those lions, we drove up next to them and I switched off the car so that she could hear what was going on. Now, these lions had killed a kudu, and she could hear these two cubs, both 8 months old at the time, busy pushing and shoving each other out the way to get to the best parts of the meat. And the mom was lying just to the side in the shade. Now, I'd known that before losing her sight, Sean probably knew what a lion looked like. But I really wanted her to know what this lion looked like. So for the first time in my guiding career, I started to describe to someone what a lion looked like. And I found that, I started to notice things in that lion that I'd never seen before.
You are cheeky. That was a brave decision. Amber Eyes is... That is so magic. That was absolutely wonderful. Amber Eyes just gave that cub an enormous hug.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth Daily.
Welcome back on Bushwalk. We're still about at the dam and we're busy looking at a number of different birds, as well as discussing donkey bridges, how you can remember different bird calls. A little bird that we see up here, uniform black in color, black legs, black beak, as well as a white wing bar. This one is known as a southern black tit. We've looked at them yesterday when they were coming down to come and drink. For those of you that haven't joined us before, they've got quite a unique behavior when it comes to the chicks, and that's producing a hissing sound and bobbing the head up and down and sideways, precisely like a snake would do when a predator does approach the nest. We're also hearing a number of different other birds in the background, which is sound as oxpeckers, which has got a scissoring-like sound that they produce. They're generally very good indicators of potentially dangerous animals, as they climb onto a number of different large herbivores, such as buffalo, to feed off on the ticks. Especially when it comes to yellow-billed oxpeckers, they're more likely to be on buffalo. However, over here, we have both species. They've been coming in and out to come and having drinks. So they normally perch up to you in the trees, and when it's safe, they will come down to the water's edge to come and have a drink. There's also been a number of doves that's been doing precisely the same. One of the doves we've been hearing in the background, that one is known as an emerald spotted wood dove. Very beautiful call. It sounds like something like this. You might hear it. It's probably one of the most beautiful sounds for me in Africa. A few years ago, I was out of the country for 2 years, and I ended up in Hong Kong at some point. And I was walking around in the zoological gardens, and I heard this bird's call. I followed the little call and made my way to the aviary where they were. There was also a host of other South African birds, which I was all familiar with. I had a few tears in the eyes, started longing back to the bush, and decided it's time to go back to South Africa and go back to the bush where my heart belongs, and to do what I do the best. A little bit earlier before that, there was also some arrow-marked babblers that was calling, a very distinct little donkey bridge which you can use as they say ow, 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 and they normally call in a group. We're going to sit around here, listen a little bit longer. Hopefully our warthog is going to come in, which was curious about coming having a mud bath. But let's go and see what Ali is up to.
Well, it seems like our two elephants were not actually together because the bigger, older bull was in the water for a little bit, and then he decided he had had enough and carried on and moved off. So he's gone off to, if he carries on walking in that general direction, he'll cross into Torchwood not too long from now. And this other one, on the other hand, has decided that the shade is actually a very great place to be in. And he's found a nice step to rest one of his feet, apparently. I think he's just going to carry on sleeping around here for the next little while, and then perhaps either follow the direction of where the other male has gone off to, or just go around here and then start feeding. Maybe he'll head into some bushes for some nice salad for lunch. You do feel like salad when it's this hot. Not even Mareebs yesterday was eating the meat when it was that hot. There are a bunch of little birds around the elephant. I agree with everyone. Any elephant sighting is a great sighting. We don't get too many of them. Or, well, we haven't gotten too many of them lately. We've had a few, but sometimes it's nice when you get like a mega herd of elephants and you've got a bunch of them. And, well, we all know my heart sits with the little things, but the little elephants are just adorable to watch, especially when they're going to water and then they start running. And I've seen more than one get very excited and lose their footing, and then they just kind of fall or, tumble. Kind of feel sorry for them, but it is a little bit funny to watch. I wonder if he's just gonna come for a drink now. I mean, you drank a lot, my friend. Yep, not done. I think perhaps the drinking bout was diminished by that other male that pushed him. Maybe just having one last sip for the road. And you see there's a little bit of a path there. I think that's probably what he's gonna follow to get butt up. You can hear the trunk just sucking up all the water. And also a vehicle behind us. It would be interesting to find out how much water elephants actually drop. As we know that they can hold about 15 liters of water in their trunks, but how much of it do they actually put in? I don't think this can be measured. Or not even how much they put in, how much they let out willingly. with the usual last spray, and then when they put them in their mouth, I think it's also, they do it a little bit for fun too. They just put it in there, and then sometimes they just let all this water drip from them. Well, everyone, I think it's that time of the day where we actually have to start saying goodbye to everyone. It's been a lovely morning out here, definitely a magical one. We'll see you guys this afternoon.